Hello students, I am Mrs. Divya dealing with chapter 7 evolution. This is my 20th video. In the last video we were discussing about some of the important points to remember in the chapter, and also have discussed a few questions which had appeared in the previous exams. We'll continue with the same, starting with the adaptive radiation. So this is also one of the important questions, students. See, 3 times it has appeared right from 2014 onwards, and in the older question papers also many a times frequently this question has been asked. It might be asked for 1 mark or many times even for 2 or 3 marks, that is with example. Definition is asked only for 1 mark. With example, to explain the example, it is asked for 2 or 3 marks. Okay, so what is adaptive radiation? See that always you write the definitions from the NCERT textbook only. Okay, so it is the process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area, starting from a point and radiating to other areas of geography, is called as adaptive radiation. Okay, so this is the definition which is mentioned in your textbook, right? Then example, the best example you can explain is of the Darwin's finches. So where were these finches found? They were nothing but small black birds which were found in the Galapagos Island. Who visited Galapagos Island? It was Darwin. Okay, so by the observations made in the Galapagos Island, he explained about natural selection. Okay, so this is a very good example for adaptive radiation. So among the finches you can see the basic finch is nothing but the bird, right? So the basic original type of finches, species of finches, they were seed eating, so their beak was adapted to that particular food habit. Then slowly as those birds started migrating, or as they started to shifting to different places in the island itself, it is Galapagos Island is a group of islands. Okay, so there in those small islands only you could see that many different varieties of finches had evolved. Okay, that is depending upon the food habits they had adjusted. Okay, so there originally it was the seed eating birds, then later on they developed their beaks for eating fruits, nuts, then some became vegetarian finches, some were insectivorous finches. So like this, what is this? It is adaptive, right? So to adapt to the environment, one finch it radiated, that is, it is a good example for what? Divergent evolution. Okay, so this is a best example you can quote. Other 2 examples are also given, that is one of the Australian marsupials and another example is the placental mammals. Okay, so Australian marsupials here, a number of marsupials. Marsupials means, remember, it is what? The pouched mammals are called as marsupials. So such pouched mammals are found in Australian continent. Okay, so they had evolved from their ancestors, that is in one continent itself many marsupials were found, different varieties of such pouched mammals. They had adjusted themselves to different environmental conditions in the same continent. They had changed their behavior. Okay, so this is one example. So here, when more than one adaptive radiation appears to have occurred in one geographical area, so this could be an example for convergent evolution. Okay, that means convergent means what here? Many different organisms, they have modified themselves to adapt to one particular environment, right? So such an adaptive radiation could be called as convergent evolution, an example for convergent evolution. Okay, so another example for this is placental mammals. So in Australia itself we find both pouched mammals, marsupials, as well as even placental mammals evolved. So these placental mammals also developed the features of these marsupials itself to adjust to that environment. So certain similarities is found between those two. Okay, so that can also be given as an example. right? So point wise I've given. So if the example is asked, you what this much whatever you write is sufficient. Next, coming to biological evolution. So while explaining about this natural selection itself, I had told you in the previous modules that in different steps, I had explained it in different steps, right? That is overproduction, then struggle for existence, survival of the fittest, right? Then natural selection, origin of new species. Those were the principles of Darwin to explain natural selection. But all that is given in only around 5 sentences in your textbook, I had told, right? So when you are writing that biological evolution in your board exams, these are the points sufficient what you can explain there, okay, if it is asked for 5 marks. Before, in the older question papers, they had asked, right, about this to explain about the natural selection theory of Darwin. Recently that question has not appeared, but you cannot say that it will not appear further also. So it is one of the important concepts in this evolutionary process. So remember the points, right, and you can write it by your own, okay? Just understand the concept what was given by Darwin. So according to Darwin, it is the natural selection which leads to evolution, right? So he said that the production of different organisms depends upon their lifespan also. The organisms having smaller lifespan, they reproduce more, right? And different varieties are found very soon itself, okay? Then though there is overproduction of the organisms, their number remains constant. That was told by Darwin. Why? Because of struggle for existence. Yes. So how did he say that? He said that organisms with favorable variations get adapted to survive in a hostile environment, okay? So that is nothing but they are struggling, so they are adapting themselves. That is nothing but survival of the fittest, right? So variations result in adaptability, so that leads to adapting. They become fit to survive in that particular environment. So this fitness is the ability to adapt to changing environment. What do you mean by fitness here? Fitness is not bodybuilding, it is the ability to adapt to changing environment, whatever changes they bring about in their structure or in their behavior, okay? So those organisms itself can reproduce more, and that is called as reproductive fitness, okay? So these are the two key concepts. See, this is also important. For 2 marks or 1 mark, they may ask you mention the key concepts of Darwinism. It is natural selection and branching descent. Natural selection, you know, the survival of the fittest by the nature in face of changing environment. Branching descent means what? The organisms are descended from our common ancestors only, right? So because of variations. So branching in the sense one organism is giving rise to the other different varieties. That is called as branching descent. Then Lamarck's theory, 2 main points you have to remember in Lamarck's theory. One is use and disuse of organs. So that led to inheritance of acquired characters. That was explained by Lamarck, and the good example given here is about the evolution of giraffes. Yes, so you have understood this concept, I hope, and these are the points you can explain for the Lamarck's theory of evolution. So as the neck was continuously being stretched by the giraffes to forage the leaves on the tall trees, they in the further generations they acquired that character, that is long neck was acquired by the next succeeding generations, okay? Then coming to mechanism of evolution, that is Hugo de Vries theory of mutation theory. So this you have to remember on what plant he worked. It was evening primrose or Oenothera lamarckiana. And what did he suggest? He said that evolution is mainly due to mutations, right? So how is Hugo de Vries theory different from Darwin's theory? So these are the differences which has been mentioned. So according to Hugo de Vries, mutation causes evolution, but according to Darwin, it is the variations, minor variations that cause evolution. Uh, Hugo de Vries said that mutations are sudden, random and directionless. Darwin said that variations are small and they are directional. So according to Darwin, evolution is a very slow and gradual process, but according to Hugo de Vries, mutations are sudden, right? So sudden mutations, they lead to speciation. So this is also important here, speciation. 1 mark question, what is speciation? Formation of new species is called speciation. So according to De Vries, he stressed on saltation. This is another important question. Saltation, what is it? Single step large mutation. Only this much is given in your textbook, right? So now if it is asked what is saltation, only that much is enough. Saltation is nothing but a single step large mutation, okay, a minor change. See, that was asked once, what is saltation? Right, only definition is enough. Then coming to the next concept, Hardy-Weinberg principle. So this is one of the important questions, students. See, 3 times it has asked for 3 marks and then for 2 marks. So most of the time the principle is asked, state Hardy-Weinberg principle. Then also factors you have to remember. Actually 5 factors have been mentioned, but generally at least they tell you to mention any 4 factors, okay. So this is important. See, principle or the Hardy-Weinberg law, they might have changed a few sentences and given in the different reference books, but you see that statement you just write exactly what is given from the NCERT textbook, okay. So it is given that it states that the allele frequencies in a population are stable and are constant from generation to generation. So this carries 1 mark. The next question here, what is gene pool? This was asked in March 2014 question paper for 1 mark, right? So gene pool, it is nothing but the total genes and their alleles in a population. Only that much is enough, okay. What is gene pool? The total genes and their alleles in a population is called as gene pool. And according to Hardy-Weinberg principle, that also remains constant. What is genetic equilibrium if it is asked? What you are writing there? According to Hardy-Weinberg's principle, he said that the allele frequency remains constant and the gene pool remains constant. So this constancy is called as genetic equilibrium, and the sum total of all the allele frequencies always remains 1. This might also be asked for 1 mark. Okay, what is the sum total of all the allele frequencies? It is always considered to be 1. Then mathematical expression might be asked, children. What is the algebraic expression or mathematical expression given by Hardy-Weinberg to explain the process of evolution? So this is the expression you are writing, okay. Then see, these are the 5 factors which affect Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. One is gene migration or gene flow, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination, natural selection. Many a times only mention the factors is asked, okay. So they have asked any 4 factors. Read all these 5 factors, okay. Definitions of these might be asked for 1 mark. For example, gene pool, as I told you. In the same way, gene flow or gene migration. What is genetic drift? What is mutation? Like this, these are 1 mark questions. See, I have given you the definitions here. Gene migration, gene flow. Gene migration is nothing but when a population migrates, a small part of a population migrates to another place. So what is happening there? The genes are shifting from one place to other. That is the gene flow, okay. Then see, define genetic drift. This was asked once for 1 mark in July 2017 question paper. So genetic drift, Students, the change in gene frequency that occurs due to a random event or by chance, which is purely by chance, is called as genetic drift, right? So that leads to genetic drift generally leads to founder effect. So I have explained you what is founder effect. I have also told you about bottleneck effect, right? The founder effect means what? When a small population shifts from one place to another place, another geographical area. So what happens there? That group of organisms who have shifted, now they become the founder of that place, right? So those organisms now they give rise to many different generations. So their variations may occur, different species may evolve, right? So now the gene frequency of that new population will be completely different from the gene frequency of the previous population, right? So this phenomenon where the organisms from one population become founder in the next other area is called as founder effect. So this is a 2 marks question, students. In the older question papers, many a times this has been asked for 2 marks, what is founder effect, or even for 3 marks they may ask you what is genetic drift and explain founder's effect. Okay, so this is the point what you have to write for founder effect. Then this is another important question. Even for competitive exams, one diagram might be given like this, and they may ask you what type of selection it is, right? So these are the 3 types of selections which is operational for natural selection. One is stabilizing selection, directional and disruptive selection. Stabilizing in the sense where the individuals acquire mean character, that is extremes are gone, they mix up, that is they combine and they form one stable character. Okay, directional means what? It occurs when more individuals acquire value other than the mean character, that is it is shifted to one place, the peak is shifted to one place. Disruption means extremes are selected, 2 peaks will be formed on either ends. Okay, so detailed I have explained it to you in the video, right? Okay, so coming to the next one, a brief account of evolution. So here evolution of complex organisms from simple forms has been explained. So this points you can note down. So just remember in which years, which are the different types of organisms that had been evolved. Okay, so approximately 2000 million years ago, first life came into existence. That is one point. Then around 500 million years ago, invertebrates formed. 350 million years ago, the jawless fishes came. 320 million years ago, smaller plants like algae, seaweeds started to evolve. This is important, coelacanth, it is a lobed fish that was discovered in South Africa in 1938. Okay, so remember this one. Then this point here, the amphibians, first it was the aquatic forms, fishes evolved into amphibians. So amphibians were the ancestors of the modern day frogs and salamander. Okay, then from amphibians gradually the reptiles evolved. Then reptiles evolved into the birds. I had given you the example of Archaeopteryx, right? Then slowly at the end was the mammals who came into existence. Okay, then plants also, slowly it was the aquatic algae, seaweeds, and then that gave rise to the ferns. It was the bryophytes, just like amphibians, bryophytes came into existence, then pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and then the angiosperms, right? So this is another important thing, which was the largest dinosaur. 1 mark question. This is the species Tyrannosaurus rex. It was around 20 feet in height. Okay. Then about 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs, they became extinct. Okay. Then this another important point among mammals. So it was the shrews which came into existence first, right? So first it was the oviparous animals, then viviparous animals came into existence. Okay, so these are some of the key points you have to remember them. Everything point wise I have given students, just remember those points. Then coming to the origin and evolution of man. So according to your NCERT textbook, they have mentioned Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus were the first to be existing. Then from there it is the Australopithecus. Then is the Homo habilis, Homo erectus, right? Then Neanderthal man, then Cro-Magnon, and then Homo sapiens. That is the list they have given. So in all of these, mainly what you have to remember is in which period these apes were present. Okay, then for some they have given what were their key features. Then about their food habits, it has been given, right? Then they have mentioned about what their brain capacity. Those things you have to remember, brain capacity of them. Okay, then about the food habits of them, then the period in which they were present, right? So this question was asked in the previous year question paper in 2018 and even in 2019, right? About the list the period, the food habit and brain capacity of Homo habilis, Homo erectus was asked. Okay, so this see for example Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus, they were 15 million years ago. Then Australopithecus, they were found in the East African grasslands. Then came the Homo habilis, the brain capacity was 650 to 800 cc. Then remember they did not eat meat. Then was the Homo erectus, about 1.5 million years ago. Their brain capacity was 900 cc. They ate meat. Neanderthal man, brain capacity was 1400 cc. Then their key feature is they protected their body and they buried their dead. Then was the Homo sapiens who evolved later. Okay, so these are the points. So here is a flow chart. They have mentioned about the different organisms, that is different human ancestors, their period of origin and their main important key features. Just remember this chart. These are the points which might be asked for 1 mark. The brain capacity of them, in which place the fossils were found, okay, and the period of them, their food habit as well. Okay, so hope this was helpful for you all. Using students, using these 2 videos, that is yesterday's and today's, prepare your notes. I would have given the PDF of it, but I don't want to give you the PDF. You will just take a printout of it and you will not write. See that observing the videos, you write your own notes. Then I'll be posting the questions. I'll give you the PDF of the questions. With the help of the notes, you write or write the assignment questions. Okay, so all the best. It's a very important chapter, students. The weightage of this chapter is 6 marks. Okay, so easily you can score 6 marks. As I told you, some of the definitions and the Stanley Miller's experiment, for example, for 5 marks. So these questions repeatedly they have been asked. Okay, so 6 marks is fixed from this chapter. Easily you can score 6 marks. Refer the NCERT textbook. Read mainly. Become thorough with the NCERT textbook. Okay, so once again, all the best. Thank you.